Hey everybody, this is Minion Soldier, and today we're taking a look at the Drake Caterpillar, a pirate ship that's been around for a long time in the Star Citizen universe and has a lot of high hopes tied up into the 3.0 release. Now on November 17th of 2012, CIG was selling this ship, the Drake Cutlass Black, but they had also announced that they had passed the $1.5 million funding mark and were going to now develop the Drake Caterpillar and the Origin M50 Racer. Though the ship had not been seen, we did get technical details and a bit of a description on the ship. It did include the fact that the ship was much more heavily armored than a typical transport, and that apart from the turrets and the guns on the command module, there was still 2 slots for weapons that, as of yet, were not filled, and would later on be dropped from the ship entirely. It should be noted also that the technical description also included the fact that this ship should be escorted by fighters. On June 29th of 2013, the first ship art of the Caterpillar appeared. Take note of the prominent forward guns on the front of the ship. By September 3rd of that year, new art for the Caterpillar had turned up, making the ship much more refined and defined in its features. The top and bottom turrets had taken their place on the ship. The prominent forward cannons were still there, though once again they were undefined at this point. The ship in many ways seemed to harken back to the golden age of piracy. Oftentimes, kings or emperors would employ various private citizens and hand them contracts for privateering to raid the enemy shipping for personal gain. More often than not, the ships that were used for this purpose were simply cargo ships that had been refitted for combat, and having all these ships out there would allow you to raid enemy shipping and put a stranglehold on lines of communication between their mother country and the colonies. As peace treaties were signed, however, and the money dried up, more often than not, these privateers would turn to piracy. The Caterpillar seemed to fit very well within this role and within these definitions, and it was very well received by the pirate community. The ship was overall looked at as a command ship for larger pirate raids, whereas the Cutlass Black was looked at as more of a fighter for the intermediate raids. Now, on September 20th of 2013, the Caterpillar would officially be sold, and it would be sold using the new artwork that had come out on September the 3rd, and also including new artwork detailing the interiors of the Cutlass as well. Now, this new artwork created a bit of a problem with the Caterpillar, because even though only a few images were used in the sale, there were many more images that went along with it that would intermittently be doled out to the community, and this created the first big problem around the Caterpillar, because even though the Caterpillar had been shelved for later development when the game was ready for it, this created the impression with certain players and backers that the Caterpillar was in fact in development. The Caterpillar indeed was not in development, and rightly so. I mean, at that point the game was simply a hangar module. There wasn't even Arena Commander at this point, so there was no point in building out the ship. Now, it's important to acknowledge at this point the status that the overall project was in at this time, because at the end of 2013 and then going all the way until June of 2014, the community was patiently waiting for the now delayed Arena Commander module, in which you could actually now fly your ships and engage in combat with them. With the staggered release of the Arena Commander module between May and June of 2014, certain ships started to come online. The Hornet, the 300 series, the Auroras, the Mustangs, all these ships began to trickle into the Arena Commander module, but it seemed like things were taking a very long time, and it was apparent by the state of the Arena Commander module that the game wasn't really that far along and still had a long way to go. Now, throughout 2014, there were some very big concept sales. Of course, the Herald, the Reclaimer, the 890 Jump, the Carrack, some of CIG's biggest sellers and most popular ships, would arrive during this year, but apparently the game was still moving forward at a snail's pace and tension started to build. Additionally, the first iterations of Star Marine were starting to be shown, and unfortunately Star Marine, as you would know, would hit a huge snag in its development, and so that would slow things down further. At this point, things had gotten pretty tense, and there was a lot of people who were tired of seeing JPEGs in Arena Commander and wanted to see what the finished game would look like, but unfortunately, CIG was holding some information back, which in retrospect was probably not the smartest move. The community was just very hungry to see some forward motion, and unfortunately all they were getting was concept sales and JPEGs at that point, because most of the real work that they were actually doing on the game was in fact being hidden deliberately from the community. But all it took was one accidental release to put things back on track. Meet Disco Lando, CIG's community manager, and probably one of the people that CIG owes a pretty huge debt to, though completely by accident. You see, Lando had been sharing screenshots with the community to show progress in the game, but what he didn't realize is that in one of the screenshots, there had been a URL to a large treasure trove of information, probably about 50 gigabytes worth of images dealing with the development of Squadron 42, which up till this point had been hidden from the community. Within that folder and within all those files, players found a plethora of unreleased images detailing everything that had been done for Squadron 42, which is of course the single-player version of Star Citizen. And this did a lot more to ease players' tensions regarding whether or not the game was moving ahead at the pace that it should be than anything that had been said or shown in a video before. This accidental release probably saved the game in the eyes of a lot of players because it detailed the massive amount of work that was being done over at Foundry 42, which had largely not been shown or acknowledged up until this point. Now, a lot of people joke that we were probably just days away from finding out that Disco Lando was going to be fired, but the truth is that for the longest time, CIG had been painting itself into a corner, and it was this accidental release of information that basically bought them a heck of a lot of breathing room to help them deal with current player issues and some of the issues yet to come. A lot of the video segments and a lot of the news segments that we now see detailing a lot of the studios and a lot of the work that they're doing, a lot of that stuff would probably still be hidden and behind closed doors had it not been for this accidental release by Disco Lando and the lesson that it taught CIG in how to market their game. Now, one of the after effects of the whole summer of 2015 incident, if you want to call it that, was that in the end, out of that came the promise that the Caterpillar was going to go into production almost immediately. The Xeon Scout was going to go in as well, with the Banu Merchantman starting at the beginning of the year of 2016.
Last but definitely not least, we have some work in progress images of some of the modules we're working on for the Caterpillar. We'll see the medical module. This has some beds and some medical equipment. You'll see the personnel module, which has a living area with tables. You'll also see the workshop module, which has shop machinery. The final module we've got here to show you guys is a cargo module. It's a little further along, you can see, in concept art-wise. You can also see in this one how modules are going to attach into the rest of the ship. Finally, we have a screenshot of what Randy's screen looks like when he's working on all of this. As you can see, with all of the different modules we're working on, it can get pretty messy. Alright, that's it guys. Thank you for joining me this week on Ship Shape. Back to you, Ben and Sandy.
Now, of course, she was talking there about a lot of modules that unfortunately have yet to materialize with the Caterpillar. But there was one module in particular that or at least one idea that, thank God, never got any traction.
Space theory it's just a thought. It's a theory right now. But imagine a catapult in space, and it's going to be catapulting people for, you know, when you're rescuing a ship and you need to get over there really quickly.
Obviously, and
Just
only
rescue.
when you're rescuing.
Just
a ship.
rescue only. Yes. So this can catapult 2 people out, and they're going to need to use their jump jets and everything and their EVA equipment to basically slow down the ascent, because you don't want to go splat on the thing you're trying to rescue. That's just bad form, right?
It would be some interesting gameplay.
Interesting to say the least. So we also have a hard point for a tractor beam, so that way it could hold on to anything.
Now, I don't know about you, but I would simply suggest a grappling gun of some sort, possibly with a magnetic tip to attach to the other ship. But then again, you know, magnets are magic, so you may not want that in a sci-fi game. The Drake Caterpillar would from there on somewhat submerge from everyone's attention and only appear from time to time. One of the interesting things to note is that the next time we would see the Caterpillar would be during the sail for the Buccaneer, where it was shown leading a fleet of Buccaneers, presumably into battle, which prompted the question, could there be a hangar module that allowed a Buccaneer to dock and be carried in a Caterpillar, possibly 3 or 4 of them? That module, sadly, never appeared. The Buccaneer would spend most of the first half of 2016 appearing only on Twitter and in various snapshots on ATV, but the entire ship was very rarely seen beyond a white box model. One of the things that we saw during the summer of 2016 was this image here of the Caterpillar's command module, and then less than a month later it was replaced with this, a far sleeker design that looked a heck of a lot better than the original. Now, of course, there were some downsides. Up at the front, the 2 guns that had appeared in the nose in so many versions of it had now been reduced to non-functional art assets, and really they had served no purpose on the ship whatsoever. However, that's really a matter for a future video. But the important thing to know is that by the end of 2016, the Caterpillar had been slated to be included at the end of the year with the 3.0 release. However, 3.0 just missed the 2016 release window, and so the Caterpillar, being ready to go, was included in the 2.6 release. Came out a little bit early. Now, the Caterpillar has been released, is in game now, and you can fly it, though its sales are somewhat sporadic. The only really guaranteed time that you can purchase this ship is the anniversary sale right now, though the CitizenCon sale, there'll probably be a Gamescom sale. There's plenty of times to get it, including subscriber flash sales, which pop up from time to time. So there's still plenty of chances to get yourself a Caterpillar. But as a lot of the features of this ship will be implemented in the 3.0 release, which at this point in August 2017 still seems just a little ways away. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this brief look at the Caterpillar, and thanks for watching.